Hi folks, just when you thought I couldn't get any more egotistical, I decided to make some videos. And in all serious, I suppose when I look at my timeline, more so recently than in the past, I see a lot of right-wing commentators talking about various different things. And I think it's probably time to create a bit of balance. And I really just want to make sure that I suppose there's someone putting out videos that speaks for me, and what better person to speak for me than me. So today I want to talk to you about a really important issue, which is the issue of the minimum wage and the living wage, and because it's been all over the headlines and it's got a lot of us worried. So what's happening? Well, the government is talking about delaying increases to the minimum wage, and I've got to say, it's a real kick in the teeth for workers. So let's break it down and get to grips with what's happening. So Owen Reedy, who's the General Secretary of the Irish Congress of Trade Unions, didn't mince his words this week in the media, and he called the potential delays shameful and unacceptable. And you know what? It's really hard to argue with him, because right now the minimum wage is $13.50 an hour, but the living wage is $14.75, and the living wage that's worked out to cover the basics for workers and still give them a bit of dignity. It's not about luxury, just a fair go. And the last government promised us that we'd hit the living wage by 2026. But now the Minister, Jack Chambers, is saying that they might need to drag this out a bit to keep things sustainable for businesses. Now, sustainability for businesses is really important. It's absolutely fine to have that up at the top of your agenda, but we also have to think about the workers who are barely keeping their heads above the water. Sure, it's true that many businesses are feeling the pinch. Costs are up, and things like competitiveness is a real issue, particularly when we talk about the tariffs and the global trade situation and how messy it's getting. But we can't kid ourselves. There's no simple answer to this, and the answer certainly isn't to stick it to low paid workers with what Reedy called a dose of austerity. That's not just wrong, but it's also bad thinking, because any problems that we may have aren't down to the wages of people working in shops or cleaning offices. It's the big stuff that government needs to fix. Things like the housing crisis. Now, I'm not going to go on about the housing crisis here, because so many people have done a better job at that than me. But it's clearly one of the big issues that we face, and that does affect our competitiveness. Things like energy prices, infrastructure, and our inability to invest in infrastructure in a costly and timely way, and public transport that could be better. These are things that we need to rectify. So why are we eyeing up workers' pay packets instead of sorting out those issues? And, at the same time that we hear about delays to the living wage, there's talk of a VAT cut for the hospitality sector. And look, the hospitality sector, like other businesses, do need support sometimes. But we also have to remember the workers in those bars, restaurants and hotels are the very same workers who will lose out if the minimum wage increases get pushed back. So we're looking at helping one part of the economy while shortchanging the people who keep it running. That doesn't add up to me. So Reedy was on Morning Ireland, and he put it brilliantly when he said that Ireland loves to talk up its high skill, high value economy. We're told we have a top-notch workforce, educated, flexible, productive. So why are we still haggling over whether workers deserve a wage that lets them live decently? If we're serious about a high-skilled economy, we should be backing our people with proper pay and conditions, and not pinching pennies at their expense. And we also have to factor in that there's a broader risk if we don't deal with pay. There's an industrial risk in terms of, people kicking up. And I mean, they'd have every right to if their wages are low. But if we allow people to feel disillusioned, disempowered, and they're on low pay, low terms conditions, they could be exploited by more populist elements within the political discourse. And that ain't good for anyone. So what needs to happen is that government's got to listen. It's got to properly listen to people, to workers, to their unions, to their families. And if we're talking about things like competitiveness, let's focus on really important issues such as infrastructure, investment, things that actually move the needle. And let's not balance the books by squeezing the lowest paid. And if we want an Ireland that's fair and thriving, let's stick to that living wage commitment. No messing about, no delays. So I guess I want to know what you think. Comment below or wherever you see this video. Are you feeling the squeeze yourself? Do you reckon the government's got a point? Drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel. And thanks for watching. Cheers.